Hello. I didn't stitch after I got off of the live last night. So this is where I am. I'm just gonna clean up these lines a little bit. I already cleaned up this line. I drew that so crooked. It's fine. Okay, so we're gonna work on the roofs today. So let me pull out my threads. We're gonna do gray. I've got 2 grays in here. The one we're gonna use for snow. So we are gonna use the DMC 642 for the church. For the roof of the church. Sorry, I'm just trying to pull up my pattern real quick. Sometimes I lose it. Okay. All right. Now, if you're feeling behind, don't worry. The weekend is coming. I plan to catch up over the weekend. So if you are like me, do not worry one little bit. All right, so today we're gonna do a detached chain stitch and just a regular chain stitch. I am going to use less strands on the roof today. I've been using mostly 6, but I'm gonna move to 4 to do this space because I wanna be able to see. I don't want it to be too thick and chunky. So I've got my 2 and my 4, and I'm just gonna slowly separate those. I also sometimes do it like this. Okay. Now, if you have this completed first, it's gonna be a little bit easier. Just because then you don't have to like worry about where your stitches are going. But I'm not super worried about it. So, first we're gonna do a detached chain stitch, and then we'll do the regular chain stitch. So the detached chain stitch is gonna go up in the steeple. So let me get zoomed in and move this so we can see what's going on. Okay, so I've got my 4 strands. I've got a knot at the end. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go up from the back, and then we're gonna go down either in the same hole or just barely next to it. Now remember, when we came up, we have a knot right there. So if you're gonna go down in the same hole, just be careful that you don't snag that. Sometimes I'll go behind and kind of hold that knot out of the way because you don't want to go down through that knot. So what we're gonna do is we have this little loop. We're gonna leave this loop open and we're gonna come up inside of it. And then we're gonna pull that loop kind of snug. We don't want it too tight because then it just makes a straight line. We still want it to be kind of loopy. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go down on the other side. So we're up inside the loop, and then we're gonna go down on the outside of the loop to tack it down. So that creates a loop here, and then another loop here. So that is our 1 detached chain stitch. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do another one on the other side because I want to be able to fill this in nicely. So same thing, in and out of the same hole. Leave your loop open and then go up inside the loop and then pull it snug. And then we're gonna go down on the other side. Pull that to be a little tighter. There we go. Okay, and then I'm gonna go in the middle next because it's gonna be straight down. So same thing, up and down in that same hole, up inside the loop, and then down on the other side. And then I'm going to go ahead and fill this space in. I think I'll be able to do 2. I'm going to do 2 and see how that looks first, and then we might do 3. Yeah, I think 2 will be perfect. Oops, make sure you don't get your tail in there. See, like if this part was already done, then I could like be putting these down on top of the white, but that's okay. All right, we've got one more, and then we'll move up a row. Okay, so there's our first row. Now I'm gonna do another row here, and then I'm just gonna do one more like up in the top. So I'm gonna start in the middle, and I kind of want them connected. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move my loop kind of out of the way so I can see really well where I'm going. I'm gonna kind of come up inside of these stitches so that it kind of lays on top, and then I'll do my loop over the top of it just because I wanted to be able to see where I was going really well. And then do the same thing. I'm just going through some of those stitches, which is not a big deal. That didn't get pulled quite as tight. So if you didn't pull this quite as tight as you wanted it to, just very gently pull up on your loop. You can pull that a little bit tighter and then tack it down again. Okay. One more over here. So you could also do these smaller. So you could fit more rows of these. Like you could do like, have them be this big, and you could fit like 4 rows of them if you wanted. I think 3 is good. Oh, see, I'm not pulling that tight enough. If you're gonna do this, just be careful that you don't snag any stitches around it. Like be really gentle when you're pulling. Okay. And then I think I'll be able to just fit like 2 up here. So I'm gonna go in and out of that top. Okay, so while you're up here, you could do a little cross on the top of the church. You could do another symbol if your church has another like symbol or something that you might put on top of your church. or just leave it like this. I'm just gonna leave it like this. I think the pattern I put a cross on it. Let's see. Oh yeah, I did. So you can put a cross or not, but whatever you want to do to finish off your church while you're already up here with your gray, or you could go back when we have our black out, our black thread. Gosh, I am struggling to get those how I want them. Anyways, that is the top. So I'm going to tie this off and then we'll move down here and we'll do a regular chain stitch. So let me just tie this off real quick. All right. So now we're gonna do a chain stitch. So it's very similar to our detached chain stitch, but we're gonna stitch a whole bunch of chain stitches in a row that are all connected. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna start on the end and go down in the same hole or right next to it. And we're remembering that we have a knot there. And then we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna come up inside of our loop. We're gonna pull it snug, and then we're gonna go back down inside this loop. So you can go down in the same hole or not, but we're going down inside the loop, okay? And that creates our next loop. So then we're gonna come up, and we're practicing keeping our stitches the same stitch length. So however big this one is, the next one should be the same. Then we pull that snug. So there, now we have 2 chains. So now we're gonna go back down again inside the loop. We're creating a chain here. Keep our loop open. Come up inside that loop. Pull that snug. And then go back down inside that loop. My thread is twisted. So we're gonna do that all the way across. Almost there. Okay, so I'm just gonna have this chain go all the way to the end. So now when we get to the end, we're gonna finish it like we did with our detached chain stitches up above it. We're just gonna tack it down on the other side of that loop. And that will end our chain. So then if you take out one, it'll just pull all of these out. So there we go, there's the chain stitch. And then what I'm gonna do is just come up a row. And my chain stitches are now gonna go this way. So that will kind of give your roof a little bit better texture. You know what, I am not gonna do that because I don't have enough thread to finish it. So I'm gonna get a new piece of thread. Hold on, let me tie this off. And then I'll start with a fresh piece of thread. Okay, so I had 6 strands. I used 4, I've got 2. So I'm gonna put the 2 in my needle and I can fold it over. That's how I can use up the rest of my thread without, I don't have to throw this away just because I've taken it out of the thread. So I've got my 2 ends and I'll just tie them together and that will make 4 strands in my needle. Okay, but I still am going to start over here because I want to go this direction. I've got a knot right there with my white thread I'm trying to work around. So in and out of that same spot. I'm gonna hold that loop open. Now, I want these to kind of be offset a little bit. So I don't wanna go clear over here where this other chain is sitting. I'm gonna come up like right here, just so that those aren't like in the exact same spots. So I'm gonna go down inside that loop again and create that next chain. Oh, I didn't do those close enough together. You could also do this with 6 strands. It'll fill your space a little bit better. See, I have this little bit of a gap. I'm gonna redo that. I don't want a gap. The only problem is that now I have to trim that, or I have to cut this. Starting over. I just want these to be right next to each other. Okay, so let's try that again. I just need to move this down a little bit so they're closer together. So I'm gonna go, I have my white right there too. It's kind of getting in my way. I should have trimmed it. But I was gonna finish it last night, and so I didn't. And now I'm kicking myself. Okay. All right, in and out of this same spot. Up inside the loop. Pull it snug. Down inside the loop. And then on to our next loop. Hi, Merry Christmas to you. Can you believe it's December 1st? I don't know why I'm always shocked when it's like a new month. I'm like, oh, that last month went so fast. But I feel like October, November, December always just fly by. I feel like there's just so much going on. Okay, so one other thing I'm gonna say today is this is the stitch that we're going to use on the edges of our houses, or the edges of our roofs on the other houses. So I'm gonna do it tomorrow during the live, but if you get this done quickly and want to jump ahead a little bit, I'm gonna do the roof lines on the log cabin with a chain stitch. Right, this last little chain, we're gonna tack that down. So once we finish the roof, I'm gonna do a chain stitch this way and a chain stitch this way. And then same thing with the brown. I'm gonna do a chain stitch up and down here as well. So if you're enjoying this little stitch and want to do it more, and then there's another way to do a chain stitch. I love chain stitch. I think it looks cool. It's super fun to do, and there's so many different ways to do it. So we're gonna do reverse chain stitch on our lettering. So if you have if you're doing the Merry Christmas lettering, we're gonna do reverse chain stitch with that. So if you are not loving chain stitch, then stay tuned next week for the day that I do lettering. You can save your roof and do it as a reverse chain stitch. It looks the same. Oh my gosh, what is going on here? It looks very similar, but it's done a little bit differently. Oh my gosh. What is going on with these threads? I have like not enough. This one is funny. Normally I don't do chain stitch. I like reverse chain stitch better is what I'm trying to get at. So if you are not loving this or loving watching me undo whatever is going on here, don't worry, because there is another way to do it. So I have got to take this out. It is bad. Oh my goodness. Do you ever just get to a place and you're like, I just want to cut the whole thing out? What is it doing? What is going on here? Because I get those problems all the time. So if you do also, you are not alone. Okay, just get to a place where you can like start over. Holy cow, this is a bad one. I don't even know what is going on. I might have to just trim this and... Okay, some knots are not worth it. It's not worth fighting that. Okay. So I'm going to tie this off and get a new piece. All right, I'm gonna leave this here for today and let you finish that roof. So you'll just go back and forth. And then I will work on finishing this so I can post a picture of it. I need to do the building, like the side of it and the roof. So I'm gonna work on that today. Before my kids get home from school. So there we go. Tied that off. My next row will be better. Okay. Let me know if you have questions. I will post a picture of this in a little bit, and I will see you again tomorrow. Bye.